What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, that guy Mile High, tuning back in for another reaction. And this time we got 15 terrifying snake encounters caught on tape. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not scared of snakes. I'm just curious to see what kind of big, crazy nonsense they've caught on tape, or crazy things and situations like all these snakes you see right here. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and see what they talking about, because I'm curious, you know? I'm just curious. I've had ball pythons and stuff back in the day. I never got into all the venomous snakes and none of that stuff. I respect snakes, you know what I'm saying? But I do, think that they're really kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Low key, low key. Spiders, on the other hand, keep the spiders. Anyways, let's do this, man. No more talking. Let's go.
Are Mother Nature's scariest creature. Not only are they terrifying, but they also boast nightmarish defensive and offensive techniques that keep some people awake at night.
I don't know that
and to think that in some places around the globe, they have to deal with them on a daily basis.
It's something you've got to do once.
I love snakes.
From wild mother snakes acting out from the ordinary to the snake who wanted a little fame for themselves, here are 15 terrifying snake encounters caught on tape.
That was some big ass pythons, bro.
Number 15, mama snake. This is why wild animals should always be respected and treated as if they're wild, because, well, they are. Despite humans' unwavering efforts to make relationships with wild animals as they currently stand, accidents like this happen more often than you think. Less frequently recorded, but occurs quite a bit. It takes thousands, if not millions of years for a wild animal to become so-called domesticated. Even animal handlers who are trained to behave a certain way around wild animals are in danger if they aren't careful about what they're doing.
Yeah.
As evidenced with this mother snake, who in all fairness was just doing her part in protecting her eggs. The shocking video reiterated to the world and animal handlers that wild nature should be respected as much, even if we feel a certain bond has formed with them. When it comes to the human bond or its babies, you better believe it'll choose its babies if it ever feels threatened. The person in the footage is actually the founder of a reptile zoo. He knew well all the dangers that existed and got bit either way. After being asked about the incident later, he said it's within the nature of his job and it changes his feeling about his passion no less. Now, let's get ready for today's open discussion.
I'm not playing with
a giant snake was recently seen slithering its way down a highway where residents and pedestrians watched with dazzled gazes. On this creative reaction, you get a sense of the report that recently released about the massive road-tripping snake. The area of the world for which it was seen isn't prone to cell phones, and everyone...
Bruh, that's gotta be cap. There's no way that is real, bro. What would that thing be eating? Whales? And fucking sharks and shit? Like elephants? Like, what do you, like, what the, no. This is not, there's no such thing as no goddamn hippopotamus eating ass snakes and shit. Like, they're calling cap. Fuck
so all we have is the word of those who have seen snakes like this all their lives and never made any commotion about them.
Right.
Now they're in an uproar about one. Like that, bro. So that fact alone tells you it must have been something.
Somebody's trying to do some King Kong shit with a snake that big, bro. Somebody's trying to go and show him off to the world and make bajillions of dollars off of parading this big ass snake around and shit. There's no get out of here. Nope, I'm not buying it.
Based on the word of those that reported the snake, this is a rendition that was created to serve the imaginations of the internet. Take it as you will. Could a snake like this actually exist in the world? Do we have ourselves a case of the world serpent? Drop a line in the comments by using a hashtag open discussion to chime in on the conversation. You want to know a little secret? If you smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, you'll have superpowers for the rest of your life. So what are you waiting for?
I don't know if you'll do that, but you'll be an awesome person and individual.
Number 14,
for doing so. And it's free.
Snake on the road. Just to prove that these snakes do sometimes try to travel along human roads, this giant anaconda stopped traffic. The monster reacts to the car pulling up to it, and you can see just how dangerous and powerful these magnetic creatures really are. All of those good things are true from a distance, but when up close, they're a terrifying force of nature not to be reckoned with proper training. Even with proper training, as seen in the previous video, bad things can still go awry, especially when it comes to one of the oldest living species on the planet, the reptile. Their DNA has a lineage and natural instinct that humans can barely understand, simply because our species hasn't been around long enough to. In certain parts of the world, dangerous snake encounters like this one are more frequent, but there almost isn't anywhere in the world that doesn't have their own species of snake. Keep those eyes peeled and the cameras ready, and your video could be the next to make it viral. Number 13. Snake wants the spotlight. While most snakes shy away from being seen by humans, this one was ready to steal the spotlight and stay in it. While this live news report was being anchored, this snake was stalking his fluffy microphone foam without the anchor's knowledge. When the snake finally strikes, it shocked the viewers just as much as it shocked the anchor, though the viewers weren't in any real danger, like the anchor was. This occurred in Australia, a country who houses some of the deadliest serpents in the world. It's where this whole incident went down. For whatever reason, that snake was not happy with Mike, and after having her moment in the limelight, dropped it like it's hot before exiting the stage. The aura of her presence still permeated the rest of the segment, making her celebdom all the more instilled in human hearts and minds.
At least it's not
yet another perfect example of how humans thinking they can control the wild of nature goes bad. Number 12. Snake massage.
You said what? No, I actually put it in a box or something. I want to call them and see if we can get refurbish it.
Speaking of ancient, another thing that's ancient is the art of the massage. The two ancients work hand in hand, it turns out. Needing human muscles and trying to free them from their ailments has long been a human medical science and practice. From as far back as ancient China, and perhaps even further, before recorded history. With that being said, there are tons of various methods for which it can be achieved, from brand new technology to that of yore. Hot stones, deep pressure, snakes, you name it, and humans have attempted to give a massage with it. Don't play dumb and pretend like you've never reached for the remote to rub that back pain bothering you from the awkward night's sleep. You can substitute the remote object for what you will, but you understand what's trying to be said here. It wasn't until now that anyone thought to go and reach for their pet snake to get a massage, but it turns out it might have been a good idea. This massage practice uses the strong muscles of giant snakes to knead a human.
I mean, it would be interesting.
You're not just talking any snakes either, but massive pythons or anacondas that can weigh a few hundred pounds. As the snake moves about the person's body, their potent muscles can actually be felt and massage the human. It can be a really relaxing thing if you can get over the fact there's a few hundred-pound snake on top of you that could strangle you just as easily as give you a massage. Number 11.
Facts.
Snake girl. There are crazy cat ladies, and then there are crazy snake ladies. Okay, so she isn't exactly a lady yet, but she's well on her way to gaining that title with how many serpents she already owns, and plans on going forward. Perhaps she should just open a reptile zoo and not try to keep all those dangerous animals in her home, where they can escape and terrorize the neighborhood. This 14-year-old owns 6 massive pythons, and they've seemed to form a crazy animal-human relationship. How her parents can let her hang out with these beasts that can easily devour her is as good a guess as any. Heck, even a full-grown adult doesn't stand a chance if 6 pythons gang up on them, where the sight of just a single giant python is enough to send most people running for the hills. This girl enjoys spending time with them. Weirdly, the snakes seem to enjoy her presence as well, hunting at the fact maybe she's some sort of snake whisperer.
Right.
If she can get them to stand up and dance, then we would know she's talking some kind of crazy magic. Number 10. Sleeping snake. Anyone ever seen a sleeping snake? If not, you wouldn't be alone. Like many reptiles, snakes that are subjected to cold weather undertake a hibernation process to survive the chilling weather. Today, there exists almost 20 families of snakes, comprising around 520 genus, including 3,900 different species. In other words, there are a lot of different snakes with many different traits. Several species of snakes are found all over the world, save for Antarctica and some islands. Most snakes are non-venomous, and they swallow their prey whole. This allows them to store a massive amount of food for when it comes time to sleep. This way, they don't die in their sleep from malnutrition. Since all snakes are cold-blooded, their body temperature regulation depends on their surrounding environmental temperature and do not have the capability to change their temperature like warm-blooded creatures. Thus, they adapt to different environments depending on the season to maintain their body temperature at a safe level. Snakes are mostly active during the day when the sun keeps them warm. They go to their dens by evening at night for sleeping and staying warm. They eat small insects and rodents that are unfortunate enough to trek in their vicinity. Number 9. Zombie snake. Now we're talking weird snakes. This crazy-looking one, dubbed the hognose snake, actually plays dead as self-defense, and done so in the most dramatic way, at least in terms of what you can expect from a snake. This enthusiastic illusion of death is how the tiny snake hopes to avoid predation. Here goes to them not calling the bluff. Apparent death, as it's often referred to by biologists, is a commonly found defense strategy used by a variety of species across the globe, from frogs to opossums, hence the common reference of playing possum. Many hunter predators prefer living prey when it comes to feeding, so they leave dead things alone typically. That's what the snake is hoping for, at least. The snake's only chance is that its delivery of being dead is undoubted enough to deter a hungry predator from taking a closer look, say from a bird of prey of some sort. They really put on a show to make sure this idea is sold, and it's worked for them thus far, so why not? Number 8.
He was flipping it.
Largest anaconda. The giant anaconda is a commanding creature assumed to be the direct descendant to the legendary titanoboa, the alpha predator that once ruled the rivers. These fearsome beasts still make up for some of the planet's most enormous snakes. They can reach whopping lengths, some as much as 30 feet long, and weigh up to 600 pounds. Anyone looking to challenge one of these alpha predators, even a human, has their work cut out for them. This will be no easy fight. The anaconda, like the python, is a constrictor, utilizing the squeeze as its primary source of offense and neutralizing its prey. With the aid of its massive size, considerably when you assume per square inch, comes gargantuan power that most creatures on this planet would be helpless to resist. The serpent latches onto its prey first with a ferocious bite. It slowly coils around the body and squeezes the breath out until it senses its prey is no longer living. There isn't an animal living on Earth that isn't fair game for the green anaconda, at least theoretically. If it wasn't for geolocation, many more species would likely fall prey to this monstrous predator. That isn't to say that they've been observed or have even tried to hunt whatever they want, just the fact that they can whenever they want to. If they decided to, say, subdue an elephant, if it somehow got around its neck, it could. All it takes is one good fall from a tree. These terror-inducing snakes are known as a danger throughout human history, stretching as far back as cave murals and ancient texts of divine snakes or hellish demons. Number 7. Gold digger snake. What would you do if you were just trying to pull out some money from an ATM and a snake slithered on screen? Now, not a digital rendition of a snake, but an actual living snake that somehow found its way into the ATM and was making it a den. Just lounging about all that cash like it was cool. Then it decided to head out to its living room viewing area, and someone noticed it, calling officials who had it removed and properly released back into the wild. Now that it has a taste of the good life, it might be returning for some more ATM action. Depending on the country, there's all manner of human dispensers that would prove adequate dens for snakes like this. Number 6.
That's wild.
Rattlesnake Roundup. In some places of the world, you have to consider many factors, like how many rattlesnakes might live in the area, and the maintenance required to keep them at bay. In some parts of Texas, the infestations of deadly rattlesnake is so prevalent that they hold annual festivals, aptly named the Rattlesnake Roundup, for which people from all over the state come and round up as many of the serpents as they can. If this festival doesn't take place, the area sees a surge of rattlesnakes, some even as bad as infesting family homes in the thousands. Even the people that like snakes or aren't afraid of them are sick of having to deal with them in such numbers. Just because they aren't afraid of them doesn't make them any less dangerous. And in this number, they can be unpredictable and provoked by other snakes, but attack people. It goes without saying that you should be careful whenever around venomous serpents, but in this quantity, it counts for double. Number 5. Snakes on a plane. It's one thing to be in an area with a snake and be able to walk away, more likely run, and another one confined in a tight space, like an airplane, and find out that there are some in flight. It's such a terrifying notion that they made a movie that teetered on the edge of horror while staying hilarious all the while. Being trapped on an airplane with venomous snakes sounds like a nightmare indeed.
Hell yeah.
The incident was so bad that passengers screamed and scurried about the cabin, forcing an emergency landing at a nearby airport to ensure the plane wasn't infested with any more. The serpent came out of the light fixture, likely trying to make its way into the cabin where pressure has been equalized a bit more, like closer to the surface. You know where the snake should be. Snakes weren't designed to be this high in the air. As soon as the pilot was notified of the situation, he diverted the flight and called flight control to issue a disinfecting status upon their arrival. That means exactly what you think it means.
Right.
Number 4,
Disinfect this
snake
shit.
in the roof. If it isn't obvious already, snakes are surprisingly nimble little creatures able to sneak in many places, including human dwellings that we're sure as heck don't want them in, at least not the wild ones, or any level of infestation. As mentioned before, some parts of the world have to worry more about this than others, but still gives a sense of the unique challenges us humans face around the globe. During this business meeting in China, a python decided they wanted to join in on the fun and entered by falling through the ceiling, right behind the majority of business members. How long had it been there?
Bro.
They heard the noise first and didn't realize it was a snake until after they had moved away from it. They just moved away from the scene like any other collapsing roof. Only when they turned and looked at the floor did they realize how close they were from wearing a python around their neck. As you all well know, that's probably the worst place a snake like this one should be on a human. Doesn't take much for a python to crush a human's throat. Number 3, spider-tailed viper. This is one eerie snake, one that even birds of prey need to be cautious of, and uses their knack for hunting spiders against them. For someone who has a fear of venomous creatures, you may not be excited to learn that there's a snake that uses its tail to pretend to be a spider. This nightmarish combination of terrifying creatures is one left for the books, that's for sure. Up until 2001, this serpent was known only by a single misidentified specimen discovered earlier.
That is wild.
The assumed abnormal growth on its tail was so unlike anything seen in other snakes that it was written off as a birth defect. It wouldn't be until years later when another specimen was discovered with the same feature. This is when experts began to speculate there might be something going on, and eventually classified this snake as a new creature in 2006.
That is nasty.
While zoologists had suspected as much, the evidence is what solidified it. All these scientists needed to do now was catch one alive or in the act of using its tail as bait for the records. While the birds in the area didn't fall subject to the con during the study, their hypothesis was still proven when the other birds were eventually brought in. The snake, using its tail as bait, lures in birds hunting for spiders, then strikes when they wander in for the kill. Number 2.
That's crazy. That's
Narcisse dens. Did you know there are genuine
right there,
nightmarish pits of snakes reminiscent of the Indiana Jones films? If you haven't seen those, just do a quick search for the snake pit parts. Yeah, there are multiple. They've been called many things throughout history: wildlife preserves, a cesspit of horror, lake of snakes, sea of serpents, and so on. You can see people have no shortness of imagination in this fact. The purpose of these pits, however, are all the same. These writhing balls of mating snakes are called the Narcisse snake dens, the noteworthy area where snakes travel to behave in such a way, seeing tens of thousands of garter snakes arrive annually to hibernate and then mate multiple enormous balls of serpentine baby making. If you're afraid of snakes, don't look.
Big
and
ass
certainly
orgies
don't
and
imagine
shit.
yourself falling into that pit. The imagination conjures more dread than there actually should be, but it's still a bizarre behavior of nature.
Just garden snakes.
Number 1, flying snakes. If you weren't afraid of snakes before, perhaps if they grew wings, you would be. Snakes with wings is pretty close to the description of a dragon, no? Some of these flying species, like the flying tree snake, live in the trees of Southeast Asia. They have the ability to cruise along tree branches and sometimes to get to the ground or another tree. They'll launch themselves into the air and glide down at an angle. Imagine walking around and seeing snakes flying above you as often as you might see a bird. Isn't that nightmarish? Little baby dragons roaming about with venom, spit, and all. Part of the way the serpents do this is by flattening out their bodies while in the air, then undulating them to make fascinating wave-like motions. Snakes are some of the most terrifying yet fascinating creatures on the planet. Their ancient DNA shows some of the best adapted evolution to ever have existed, while it's still thriving
That's
to this
wild.
day and likely long
That's
after we're
dope.
gone.
Them green tree,
If you enjoyed the video,
tree
smash
python.
that like button and don't forget to subscribe to get all our content right in your inbox.
That's crazy. Man, there's definitely some decent ones though. I think the most cappity cap one though was that goddamn big ass one going down the sidewalk or the street and shit in the indigenous neighborhoods, you know, eating fucking elephants and hippopotamuses and shit. Like, yeah, cap. But anyways, I love y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all, you know, like the most about this one right here. Y'all scared of snakes? I think that's the first question. You scared of snakes? And if you ain't, you know, what was your favorite video? I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.